Good day, grade 10s. In this lesson, we're going to be looking at the conservation of atoms and mass within reactions. So, if we look at the equation of a chemical reaction, the first reaction we're going to look at is the one where hydrogen peroxide breaks up into water and oxygen in the presence of a catalyst. Now, if you saw the last video, you would have actually seen this video again before, but let's just go through it again just to make sure in case you haven't seen that video for a while. So again, you've seen now that hydrogen peroxide breaks up into water and oxygen in the presence of a catalyst. And the equation for that is that you've got hydrogen peroxide goes to water and oxygen. Let's just look at that more clearly. If you look, and I just need to get my pen going here, in color, we'll use blue. Now, we want to look at the fact that the number of atoms is conserved on the reaction. So if you look here, do you see that if I count here, I have got 2 times 2 hydrogens, which gives me 4 hydrogens on the left. And I've got 2 times 2 oxygens, which gives me 4 oxygen atoms on the left. If we look over here, we have got 2 times 2, which is 4 hydrogens. And if we look at this big 2 multiplies the whole thing. So we've got 2 oxygens there, plus we've got another 2 oxygens here, which gives me 4 oxygens. So do you see that's not 40 and 20, that's 4 oxygens, and oxygens. I'm just putting OX there so you know that they're not numbers, but please remember that the symbol for oxygen is just a capital O. Right, so do you see that we have got the same number of atoms on the left-hand side of the reaction and on the right-hand side of the reaction? So what you need to understand is that even though we've had a chemical change happening, that we've actually had a conservation of atoms. Now let's look at the same equation, but let's look at the molar mass of the reactants and products. Okay, so if we look at this, we know that hydrogen has a mass of 2. So we've got the mass of 1, so it's 2 times 1 plus 2 times 16. Okay, so that's 2 plus 32, which equals 34. But there are 2 water molecules, hydrogen peroxide molecules. So therefore, if I multiply that by 2, and I multiply this by 2, because that's my carrying over my 2, and I carry this over by 2, do you see we end up with 68? So the molar mass is 68 grams per mole on the left-hand side. Now let's look at the right. We have got 2 waters. That's 2 for the hydrogen plus 116 for the oxygen. So that gives me 18. But there are 2 of them. So 2 times 18 gives me, what is that? That is 36, right? Plus, if you have a look over here, we've got 2 times 16 again, which ends up giving me a total of 68 grams per mole. So do you see that not only are the number of atoms on the left hand side equal to the number of atoms on the right hand side, but we have a conservation of the molar mass. Even though we've changed, we have broken up the hydrogen peroxide into water and oxygen, the actual conservation, the mass has been conserved. So we can see that there's no mass gained or lost in a chemical reaction. And this is called the law of constant composition. This law states that when atoms of different elements combine, they always combine in fixed ratios in order to form the same products. Okay, so that's a little bit of a extra thing onto this. So you need to learn this law. They like to ask it in tests and exams. It's a very important law. But what does it mean? It means that, for example, when we combine hydrogen and oxygen, they will always combine in the same way to make water. So in other words, if we have hydrogen, it doesn't matter how many hydrogen atoms we've got and how many oxygen atoms we have, when they combine, they are always going to form water molecules with a ratio of 2 hydrogens to 1 oxygen, always. Okay, and that is the law of constant composition. So what have we learnt? We've learnt that the mass of your atoms is always conserved. The number of atoms is always conserved, and particles or atoms will always combine in the same way. Okay, so in other words, the same atoms will always combine in the same way to make the same product. Right, I hope you've learned a lot in this lesson. Go test yourself in the assessment to make sure you've understood it. Thank you, grade 10s. Have a great day.